The rat catcher's triumph over the rat trap that failed to work in Ulaanbaatar is premature. If it didn't work in Mongolia, it will work in another country. However, Putin understands this, which is why he is being cheeky only from his own territory, where nothing threatens him. At least for now. His revelations at the Eastern Economic Gathering of schemers looked like a collection of the usual lies, fantasies and wishes. Putinomics is crumbling, even despite the desperate schemes with China, India and post-Soviet regimes. This is happening slowly but surely. Now Myanmar is offering to accept Russian oil and gas in exchange for rice and butter through barter schemes. The Kremlin is desperately blocking the sale of Raiffeisenbank, as one of the last instruments that allows for international payments. In France, they squeezed Durov with the KGB's telegram. They pinched his tail so painfully that it burned on Lubyanka. Even Putin had to comment on the situation for the first time, stating that he had no claims against Durov, but without specifying that Pasha was his KGB idiots. The U.S. Department of Justice has actively taken on the Fed agents. The family of Dmitry Simes was charged with a charge that could lead to decades in prison. On Wednesday, the U.S. imposed sanctions on the propaganda resource RT, some of its employees and Margarita Simonian personally, and on Thursday, charges were brought in absentia against 5 GRU officers, accusing them of organizing cyber attacks on civilian computer networks in Ukraine and almost all NATO countries. The intelligence and intelligence structure is shaky, but there is still a margin of safety built up over decades. On the election track, Harris is pressing Trump so much that Putin can only sarcastically wish her success. Even the sincere confession of Biden's son, Hunter, to tax evasion did not bring satisfaction. After all, this will not affect Harris's campaign in any way, and all that Trump can do is scare America with communists. The advance near Pokrovsk has slowed down, and events in the Kursk and Belgorod regions have to be erased from the news so as not to stir up the depths. The prospect of Kiev receiving long-range ATACMS is already visible, and when the missiles fall on the peaceful cave cities, it will be too late to howl. All that remains is to urgently draw nuclear lines, reworking doctrines, stinking of the nuclear, Burvisnik, and growling towards the West. It's time to extract the theme of the peaceful atom of the Kursk NPP from the propaganda manual. General Deputy Guralev, having sniffed foot wraps, proposed urgently burying the factories underground before they are bombed. The KGB opposition, infiltrated in the West, is bulging its eyes and promising to find everyone who advocates the fragmentation of Russia. Romantic Yashin talks about FSIN employees earning enough to feed their families, and Kara Mirza purrs about the people who don't care. Meanwhile, the Russian strikes on Poltava and Lvov are showing the world the everyday level of cruelty of the Soviet-era thugs who kill entire families of civilians. And they won't stop unless they are brutally driven under the bunk. The British government said on Friday that it would provide Ukraine with 650 light multipurpose missiles worth £162 million to help defend the country from Russian drones and bombing. And the mustachioed devil Peskov, discussing cave censorship, admitted that, in the state of war we are in, restrictions are justified, just as censorship is justified, to be honest. We are in a state of war. This means that the Kremlin is considering a scenario of switching the cave to totalitarian rails with full censorship and mobilization. The word, war, is beginning to replace the schematic word, special operation. A real hunt for women of reproductive age has opened in the swamps. The maniac motherland demands that we give birth. It desperately needs young meat. United Russia Deputy Zhana Ryabitseva howls that student years are the best time to give birth and give birth again. The main thing is to give birth, the maniac screams, and we will cripple you. We will turn you into rashists and send you to be roasted. The kaleidoscope of events is accelerating, the rat is winding, the devils are grimacing. It seems that this can last forever. But International Criminal Court prosecutor Karim Khan is adamant. People laughed when the Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia sought arrest warrants for Karadzic and Mladic, Not to mention Milosevic, when the Special Court for Sierra Leone issued an arrest warrant for former President Charles Taylor. But as history has shown, these men, who in the past wielded great power in their own country and in the region, ended up in the dock.